In this StorPool demonstration, we're going to show disk replacement, rebalancing and recovery. We have three windows open. The first on the top left will run FIO to generate load. The second on the right will show the FIO performance, while the third at the bottom is our command window. Let's get started and kick off the FIO task. After the 10-second ramp up, we can see about 170 megabytes a second throughput. Our configuration has a mix of SSDs and disks across three nodes. We're going to remove disk 113, a 2 terabyte hard drive. Our test volume is FIO-hybrid, a 300 gigabyte volume with 3 mirrors across SSD and HDD. We can see the data currently stored on 113 for our test volume using the StorPool volume info command. The output shows block counts on each piece of media, plus the replication chains across devices. We can count them and see active data being stored on disk 113. Let's also check that 113 has active requests being generated from our FIO task. Okay, now let's eject disk 113 from the StorPool cluster. A quick check of the local disk shows 113 has been ejected. At this point, the StorPool system still thinks 113 may come back online as it shows up in our disk list. So this time we will forget the disk, permanently removing it from the cluster. Disk 113 doesn't now exist in our configuration. We can also see that our host volumes, including the test volume, are all in a degraded mode due to the disk failure we've engineered. To fix the problem, we'll use the StorPool rebalancer to recreate the failed disk mirrors. First, we need to analyze the cluster using the balancer script and the -R switch to perform redundancy recovery. We can see that the work needed requires reconstructing data onto disks 111 and 112. Now we can commit the balancer changes and watch the recovery process. The StorPool cluster kicks off two background tasks to perform the work. Meanwhile, our FIO task continues to generate write I/O and the cluster operates normally. At this point, we'll stop the FIO task so we can speed up the recovery process. The recovery has already started to pick up speed. If we now look at our logical volume status, the degraded drives now also show that data is being migrated to another physical disk at the back end. The reconfiguration and rebuild work continues to execute. We'll skip ahead until it completes. The rebuild tasks are now done, and if we also look at the status of our logical volumes, full redundancy is back in place. Of course, we're still missing disk 113. So let's assume the disk really did fail and we've replaced it. Now we want to add the new disk back into the cluster. We'll do this with the StorPool disk init command. Disk 113 is back in the cluster with no data on it. So now we'll kick off another rebalance task to redistribute data more evenly across the disks. All we have to do now is wait for the rebalancer to commit and complete. If we look at our logical disks, we see the work involved is moving data this time, not restoring redundancy. Looking at the task list, we see there's still some work to go, so let's skip ahead. Our rebuild tasks are completed and data movements are finished for logical volumes. Physical data has been redistributed to provide the right level of performance and redundancy. And that completes our test.